Welcome back, everyone, to ABG Sundal Collier Investor Days. Next up, we have Briox presenting. They will host a presentation of around 20 minutes, and then we will have a short Q&A after that. With that said, I will leave the floor over to Johan.
Thank you very much, Simon. And thank you very much for inviting us. It's great to be here at your Investor Days, and good to see the people in the room as well. I'm here today, as said, together with our chairman, Eric, and together we will present what's happening in Briox. And we will center this discussion around four topics that are typically of interest when we speak at events like this. We will talk a little bit about what is Briox. I think that most of you are familiar with the company, but we'll give a brief view about what we are about. We will talk about our customers, our dear customers and their needs. We will talk about how we cater these needs, and also looking ahead, what is our business strategy and how do we intend to take this company from good to great. And hopefully we will round off with questions, which we're very happy to answer. So if we look at what is Briox then, essentially it's a fast-growing international SaaS company. We have a product offering which is a AI-powered accounting platform, and coupled with a mobile app for the solo and micro entrepreneurs, which we'll talk much more about in a second. This enables a real-time collaboration between these two parties, which we run with a subscription-based pricing model. We have our headquarters in Växjö in Sweden, and we have operations spanning across and where we have sales in Finland and the Baltics. We have a bit shy of 30 employees, and we have a hybrid sales model, both working through partners and digital sales. And when it comes to what we think we are actually quite good about, is that we are very centered about catering the needs in the micro business segment, which we'll talk much more about in a second. We have a long experience of working with partners in the accounting industry, and we have a very international focus and growth. And when we look at the numbers, when I say fast growing, we have now growing at a pace of more than 55% when it comes to revenue growth. We are now closing in on an annual return on revenue close to 20 million, and we're proud to have more than actually 200 agency partners in our network. And if we circle in a little bit on the growth, we made an important decision a little bit more than 2 years ago to have a strategy shift and really focus in on the micro business segment, the very smallest companies, and to cater their needs. At the same time, we've also worked quite a bit with the organization to put in place a new management team and a very strong team overall working on this. And we have really centered on making our partner sales model top class. And as you can see, and we're quite proud that we've now been growing at a pace of more than 50% in 8 quarters in a row. And I'm very proud to be working with a strong management team. I'm not going to go into details here, but we have very good competences when it comes to both strategy and finance, the go-to-market, and then the sales strategy, and the product and tech organization. And I'm also fortunate then to be backed up and working very closely with I would say a very high-powered board of directors with very long industry experience. We have people who are among the best, I would say, in Sweden when it comes to brand building and brand management. We have people who've taken their businesses from small to billion-dollar companies, and we have very solid finance experience also. So I think we have a very strong team in place to build something that will be something quite very strong. And with that, I leave over to Eric, who will circle in a little bit about who are our customers and what are their needs.
Thank you, Johan. Okay, who's our customer? So Johan mentioned we have made a shift 2 years ago to focus on the solo and micro businesses. And what defines a solo is fairly straightforward. That's one individual that has chosen to live his professional life as an entrepreneur rather than working for a company and an employment. And the micro business is just slightly bigger. That's a small team of, let's say, 3 individuals that have chosen to work together on the business. And their needs are very simple, but for many companies tricky to solve, and that is that they want to focus on their business. They're super passionate about what they do, whether that's consultants, experts on different topics and so on. They focus on what they do as a business. What they are less passionate about is managing things that they are not experts in. And that these are things that are necessary in order to run a business. You need to have your administrative processes in place, you need to file your tax returns, and all of these things that are legally necessary to run a business. These are things that these people are not experts on and don't want to spend their time on. So we can focus on Jarmo here, since we're in Finland. We can focus on Jarmo. Jarmo is running a professional services business. He provides expertise for advertising and PR to his clients in Finland. And as I said, he's very passionate about that. But in order to get his everyday life in running the company working, he has chosen to work with an accounting firm, so an accounting agency that he turns to get their advice and feel secure that he, all of the filings come in as they should, and he does what he should do from a legal standpoint. And Jarmo is not alone. He's actually part of a huge community across Europe. If you think about solo and micro businesses, it's the vast majority of all businesses in Europe. And the proportions here, if you look at the pyramid, it actually looks very similar if you look across all the different countries in Europe. About 80 to 90%, depending on the region, is businesses of this sort. So it's almost like a consumer market in terms of the numbers. While this is the case, and it's a little bit strange, but this community, this vast community of micro and solo entrepreneurs are actually underserved in terms of their needs. Because the needs in running their company, they're not dissimilar to a bigger company, an enterprise. They have to do the same things. They have to drive sales. They have to get customers. They need to manage their cost base, of course. If they do have employees in the business, they of course need to keep them happy and make sure that they have cash in the bank. So the needs are essentially the same for this group of companies, but they don't really have, a sufficiently good system support to work with. There is no giant or player that has taken this market across Europe, but the kind of solutions that you see are typically built for accountants. So the user experience, the workflows, and all the things that surrounds these platforms are really meant to be for expert users, accountants. And that means for these kind of customers, the solutions are often too big. The features they have are very feature-rich, but the features are not typically used as they should. And the user experience is not fit for purpose for these type of non-expert users. So at the end of the day, this leads to lower productivity and an inefficient way of working because they don't have the same system support that any larger organization would expect in order to drive their productivity gains and efficiency in their business. So actually, this very large group of companies are actually lagging behind when it comes to digitization and making use of technologies like AI and data and analytics, as we all hear about on a daily basis. It's not being distributed to this group of companies as to. So, Johan, if I ask you, how do Briox cater to these needs?
Well, this is what we are, as an organization, very, very passionate about. And it is actually, I think, fascinating to see how simplicity is, the key to everything and how it's so typically underserved. So if we look at how we take this on, well, I would say that our product is really meant to fit both the needs of these solo or micro entrepreneurs that Eric talked about, which is a huge group with very specific needs, and the accountants that they work with. So we operate in this ecosystem. And if you take the micro business or the micro business entrepreneur on the one hand, like Eric said, what this person needs to do wants to do is to run his or her business. And that means managing money going in and out and managing your customers. That's our firm belief. Then we have to make sure that everything is in place, and you have to do your bookkeeping, all that. But here our strong belief is that you work together with a professional who is an expert on this. And we operate as the intermediary in the middle to make sure that these individuals can focus on what they do best. So our total solution is to what we focus on to serve the needs of the smallest businesses and the accountants working with these companies. And to take this further, and again, to build on this ruthless simplification and really to cater to the needs of this specific group, we now invest heavily in having a mobile-first experience that will fit the needs of both these solo and micro businesses. So in practice, what this means is to take the most relevant pieces of what we have in our platform and then to focus on the business flows that are most relevant to this target group. And again, we're talking about managing your customers. At the end of the day, that's how you get your money as an entrepreneur. We want to make it extremely easy to manage that flow and also to handle the money going in and out of your company. And linked to this, and this goes beyond accounting, is to enable these people to get more things done. Okay? So we're doing that and packaging all this into a very, very easy to use mobile experience. At the same time then, and this links to our hybrid sales model, we are working very closely with these accounting firms that have these type of individuals as their customers. So we really want to be and aim to be the leading partner for accounting agencies working with micro businesses. So examples of what we're doing to cater these accounting firms' needs is that we are now in process of launching something that we call Briox Connect, which is a totally new, very easy to use platform where we enable micro businesses to find, compare, and connect with individual accounting consultants. That is, believe it or not an easy thing to do if you try to go online and search for somebody that you need. So it's an example of how we're helping accounting firms actually find new micro business clients. We also work all the time to ensure that our accounting platform can really work as a time saver for these individuals, because at these accounting agencies, time is what they play with. And at their disposal, we have, I would say, one of the industry's best partner teams that can help these agencies take their business to the next level. And we do this with a very firm, actually, promise to our agencies that we say that if you work with us, we can absolutely double your profitability in this very important segment. So with that, and to round off, hand it over to Eric to give a glimpse of what we're doing in the short and mid-term to take this to the next level.
Yeah, happy to. So I think the story about Briox's strategy is all about focus. There has never been a single business in the history of businesses that have been too focused. That just simply does not exist. So this is the story, and as Johan mentioned, we now have 8 consecutive quarters of ARR growth on an average of 55% from more modest levels before that. And it's of course not a coincidence. We have to be hyper-relevant for the focus groups, the target audience that we are targeting, and we made the conscious decisions to focus on the micro businesses 2 years ago. So this is what we're seeing. And of course, working with a professionalized partner sales organization, taking this offering out to our accounting firm partners. That is, the simple components of our growth for the last 8 quarters. And looking ahead, of course, this is what we want to build on. Nothing new, extraordinary, revolutionary. We're doubling down on the things that we now see working. So it's a continued focus on the micro and solo entrepreneurs in terms of the product, how it's built. It's, as Johan said, we are investing heavily in the mobile experience. This is our belief. This is the way that these kind of customers want to work on the run, and with radical simplification should be so easy to use. So we're building in terms of AR growth. That's the important lever for us, of course. We have to grow, and we're continuing to build on the strong momentum that we're coming into for 24 and beyond. And of course, with the clear path of becoming cash flow positive. And the way that we do that is, of course, to make purposeful investments into our growth strategy, but we're growing into a position where we actually can carry our own cash flow and become cash flow positive. So that is our strategy looking ahead, and just to hammer it down on another slide here, just a few things that you should bring with you in terms of Briox. Again, we're focused on the solo and micro customers, a huge market. Almost all of the companies in Europe are solo and micro in terms of number of companies. They want to solve their business needs through a mobile-first experience, much simpler than the current existing solutions that are out there today. And we reach them and we grow profitably through our partner channels, accounting firms in Finland and the Baltics. And as we scale our business, as we scale the ARR, we're getting to a position where we are cash flow positive, and that's the plan that we have in place with the board and Johan's team to strive for. So that was Briox in a nutshell. I hope that you found the presentation useful, and I think we're now opening up for some questions. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much, Johan and Eric. Yes, a couple of questions from me. First of all, I want to start with 57 million sole entrepreneurs and micro businesses that you have highlighted as your kind of target audience that are underserved. My question is, what the clients you are signing, what are they using before? Do they use anything, or is it just Excel and pen and paper? What kind of alternative is there that they are using?
I think it's an excellent question. I think the answer is dispersed. I think many are using something. If we now look at the micro business and the actual entrepreneurs, they typically use something to run their business. But this something could very well be an Excel sheet. It could be another type of accounting solution, like the ones that Eric said, that they do the job, but they're maybe not built in a way that serves the purpose. And in some instances, they leave all of this to somebody else. So I think it's a little bit depending on what we're referring to when it comes to bookkeeping or to come the other things. So I think what we're circling in on is to ensure that the right person does the right thing. We think that most of the bookkeeping and those tasks should actually be managed with somebody that you work closely with and that you can connect with in real time. But what we're also focusing on is to manage those things that actually has to do with running your business. So we radically want to simplify how you run your business with focus on managing your customers and the money going in and out of the company. So typically they're using something, but it depends a little bit on what that is.
Great answer, thank you. And on your strategy of, or strategic shift rather, from trying to go after more and more bureaus to focus down on existing bureaus and try to work closer to the actual license users. Are you happy with that change so far, and what kind of results have you seen from that strategic shift in recent quarters or years? Yeah.
I think, generally bookkeeping systems as a category is a pretty dense category. So there are a lot of course, incumbent players and existing players if you focus on the bookkeeping part. So I think in order to stay relevant, you really need to break the market down and be very focused on one segment, as we've done with the micro and the small businesses. There is a very particular challenge with those customers as you relate them to their accounting firm, and that is that unless you work very efficiently with your micro or solo customer as an accounting firm, then it's not the most profitable business, to be honest. They're taking in these kind of customers because they have to, but it's, the larger clients are typically more profitable. So it's a challenge that you have to solve with the process and having very purposeful tools on both sides, as Johan just mentioned, in order to get that equation running. And as we have, partner promises in relation to the accounting firms, is to double their profit in this segment. That is something that truly resonates, and that's what we're basically executing on in terms of getting partners and enable them on our different tools for both the solo entrepreneur and the accounting firm.
Good answer. The market has been, or the economic environment rather, has been weaker recently. Bankruptcies are up. Could you elaborate a bit about like the underlying market for you? Because looking at your numbers, you're still maintaining a rather strong growth trend.
Well, I mean, we're operating in the same reality as everybody else. So of course, there are businesses out there that are, some of them are struggling quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I think the product that we offer is, of course, something that it's actually quite essential for your business. So I would say if you have to cut down on your cost, it's probably one of the last things that you maybe give up, because it has to do actually with, you know, making sure that you stay relevant, I mean, legally, and to actually run your business. At the end of the day, it's also not a huge investment. So far, we have actually not seen much of an effect on that on us. But of course, we're seeing what's happening in the industry. And I would actually argue at some degree that maybe when things are, you know, turning a bit tough, you know, the need for the type of solution that we offer is actually greater than before. So up until now, it hasn't affected us negatively, but of course, we're working with accounting agencies and businesses that, you know, at the end of the day, they must thrive and grow. So we're of course looking at that, but we are trying to just to focus on really serving their needs, and hopefully that will take us where we want.
Then a question on the cash flow, or maybe two questions actually. First, on the cost side, what can you say about your targets for next year in terms of the cost level? Is your base case that you expect to maintain like a rather similar cost level, or do you expect to increase investments or decrease investments? And then a follow-up on that, you mentioned that you have a clear path to cash flow, so maybe you can elaborate on the time frame as well on that.
Sure, no, I can address that. So we are not detailedly articulated about our forecasts, but I think I can give a commentary nonetheless. So, you know, the SaaS economics is, of course, that you do have a certain fixed cost base. That's the people that are developing your solution and you know, making sure that it's competitive and innovative and all those things. So engineers, basically. That is fixed to semi-fixed in a business, and it needs to be on a certain level in order to, you know, execute on that innovation and really stay ahead of competition. And then you're looking at what does it cost to distribute the product. So do you have an efficient way to reach your end customer? And different companies have chosen different strategies here. We have chosen a partner strategy as our main primary way of reaching customers, which is a very profitable way if you execute it well. So then you have your partners to basically resell it, and that's the way that you expand. So the cost for every new dollar or krona or euro, in our case, that we bring in, that we do that cost efficiently. And the third component is gross margin. And for most SaaS businesses, and this goes also for Briox, we have a very high gross margin, which means that we are, for every client that we serve over time, it's done very cost efficiently. So we score very well on our sales and marketing efficiencies, so it's cost efficient for us to distribute our product. We have a high gross margin. Our ARR has been historically on levels where, you know, our R&D and technology investment has been heavy for us to carry. We think that we have the right resources in place for us to deliver on our plan without making significant investment further in that end. So that brings us on a path. Of course, we're conscious about the climate and, you know, as ever, thinking about the investments that we should make. So we see it on the near horizon that you know, that we will be in a position where we have the optionality to bring in more capital for targeted investment opportunities, but not as a working capital, you know, funding. So that's where we are. It's on the horizon.
All right, thank you. I think that's all we have time for. But thank you so much, Eric and Johan, for attending.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for listening.